Engineering isn't just about what we build, it's about the people who make it possible. This is the AECOM Early Careers podcast series, created in partnership with Engineer a Career. Here, we go beyond job titles and projects to uncover the real stories of the people shaping our world. You'll hear from apprentices, graduates, and early career professionals who are building their future at AECOM, sharing how they got here, what drives them, the lessons they've learned along the way. From tackling the challenges of clean energy and sustainability to finding purpose through design, infrastructure, and innovation, these are stories of growth, ambition, and impact. Whether you're job hunting, exploring your next step, or just curious about life after university, this is your inside look into what it means to build a career that truly makes a difference. The AECOM Early Careers podcast series, powered by Engineer a Career. Welcome to the Engineer a Career podcast with AECOM. In this podcast, I'm joined by Hope Francis and Isobel Ives to explore technical development and chartership. Across the podcast, we'll explore both Isobel and Hope's careers and what keeps them passionate about engineering and the work that they do at AECOM. So let's dive straight in and introduce both Hope and Isobel. How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm so happy to be recording again with AECOM and to be diving into more people's careers, especially to engineers, which is the Engineer Career podcast, so it's right on topic. So let's go straight into a quick fire to get to know you both. And we'll start with you, Hope. What's your go-to snack or drink to survive a busy day?
My go-to snack is those raw naked bars. Feel kind of healthy, keep me going. If times are tough, I will go to chocolate. That's my confession.
Any flavours in particular? Or?
For the bars, probably the blueberry or cherry ones. Chocolate-wise, milk, hardcore, just straight chocolate.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Unlimited free flights or unlimited free food?
Definitely flights. Travelling, take me there. I'll pay for the food.
Anywhere in particular you would go to first?
I've done quite a bit of Europe, so keen to go a bit further afield. South America, never been there, probably on the bucket list. That'd be the first place.
Awesome. And number 3, be able to talk to animals or speak all languages?
Probably all languages, particularly if I'm getting those flights. Yeah.
Yeah, the languages wouldn't help if it was free food.
Yeah, I think that'll help with directions more than being able to speak to the cats.
Amazing. And over to you, Isobel. If you weren't in this career, what would you be doing?
So I was always interested in sort of how things work and stuff. And I was always very into sort of the Apple ecosystem and products and the innovation. So I'd like to think maybe something in computer engineering kind of thing would be what I would guess.
Love it. And one thing on your bucket list?
So I really would like to run the London Marathon. I come from a background of sort of 800-meter running, so on the track. So London Marathon is a little bit further. Need a bit of persuasion, I think, to get up to that distance. But I would love at some point to be able to run the London Marathon.
Well, that's it set now, so looking forward to see the time.
Next year.
And what's one thing that you can't start your day without?
So I love a coffee and a Nature Valley bar. And I always get my Nature Valley bars in a multi-pack from Costco's. So that's my way that I start my day.
Awesome. So Costco or the Nature Valley bar?
Yeah, it's got to be specific. I've got to get value for money for sure.
Amazing. Oh, that's awesome. So let's dive straight in, and we'll start with yourself then, Isobel. So engineering, where did you study and what did you study?
Sure. So I went to University of Bath, actually with Hope. We both did civil engineering. Studied there in 2016 to 2021, so a few years ago now. That was kind of where my engineering career started.
Awesome. And was it always Bath you wanted to go to, thinking back to when you submitted your application?
So again, kind of touching on the fact that I come from a background of running. So when I was initially looking at universities, it did kind of go down to the ones that offered some sports and some kind of facilities in that sort of area. And Bath just ticked a lot of boxes for me. It had great facilities. The course was really strong. And like the city is just beautiful.
Yeah, really beautiful.
I remember when I went on the open day and it was beautiful blue skies, the backdrop of Bath. It was pretty.
I think my mum saw herself visiting me. I think that was the main driver.
Amazing. So it's over to you then, Hope.
So at school I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. Was really into maths and also art, and so I actually first applied to Bath to do their architecture course. Took a year out before going, and kind of in that time did a few placements with architecture firms and didn't feel like it was quite right for me. And I was actually on the Bath website and I found the course. I didn't even know what engineering was, which was probably quite naive, and looked into it and I felt like it really spoke to me. And so swapped, applied for that, and here I am.
Amazing. Yeah. That's awesome. So both studied at University of Bath. So let's take a step back to the spark of engineering. So Isobel, where did it come from? What were your strengths going through school, and how did it end up as engineering for you?
I think similarly to you, I didn't really know what I wanted to do at school. Loved maths, loved science, and I was kind of very lucky in terms of every time it came to sort of picking subjects, GCSE, A-level, I just went with the ones that I enjoyed. And my school, I was very fortunate. They were very encouraging of doing work shadowing, work placements. And we actually had a designated time in year 12 where you had to go and do a placement. It was only a couple of weeks. And I was quite lucky. I just sort of found an engineering firm through sort of family friend and absolutely loved it. I didn't really know what it was until I went to that. And when I then was looking at subjects for university, I happened to have the subjects you needed for it. So I think it kind of showed that those subjects I was enjoying were also the subjects that you need for engineering. So it kind of fitted like that. But yeah, it was quite interesting. Going to university, I didn't really know what the course was going to be. And I do feel very fortunate that it happened, that I love it, and it all kind of fell into place.
Yeah, I love that. See doing the subjects that you enjoyed doing, and then almost like having the kind of wide funnel and then kind of slowly coming in. You could almost argue a wee bit of luck, but in a sense, following what you enjoy can help you drive through your career,
absolutely.
Especially when it's that early on as well. What about yourself then?
Yeah, really similar. I picked some really random subjects for my A-levels, really didn't know what I was going to do. I did maths, art, history, and then also PE. Not that I'm athletic at all. So that really doesn't channel you in one direction. And yeah, really fortunately, Bath spoke to me because their civil engineering course is really quite creative, a lot of project work. And unlike some other courses, you actually didn't need, I don't think you needed a science, no. But I had maths. And so that seemed like the perfect fit.
And throughout university, and I guess this is for the two of you, we'll start with yourself, Hope. Did you have any placements or internships or work placements at all?
Yeah, so in the third year? I did a placement with AECOM, which was an incredible opportunity, and then basically landed me the job that I've got now, a really kind of clear path. And with that, I was in the structural engineering team in Cardiff, and really loved the work that I was doing there. The course at Bath was quite broad. It had multiple elements to it, being civil engineering, but it was really through that in the structures team that I realised, this is what I want to go into.
You started to kind of see where the course and the reality aligned.
It was because after 2 years at uni, I was going to the office. I was like, what have I learned? I don't think I know anything. And then suddenly, they're actually asking you things that you've done, and you seeing it put into practice. Okay, it's actually useful, the things that I'm learning.
Yeah, I guess that's also great for AECOM as well, because AECOM get to see you as an engineer. And then
it's like a year-long interview, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
That works both ways. Seeing if I like them as much as them liking me.
And you're here now, so that's
We're flying,
all good.
Both in agree.
What about yourself, Isobel? Anything throughout university in terms of exposure to industry that kind of bridge the gap between academics and industry?
Yeah, so similarly to Hope, I did a placement with AECOM in their Bridges team, so slightly different team. And I definitely a big advocate for doing placements, because I think it's great for finding what you like, but it's also great at finding maybe what you don't like so much. So even if you don't have the most positive placement experience, at least then you're still in a better, more informed position than going back to university as well. And I think, engineering courses can be quite long and challenging. So it's quite nice to sort of have a break in between and sort of come back a bit more motivated, because as you said, like you actually understand that what you're learning at university is actually applied in reality. So
it feels less abstract.
Exactly. And I think definitely a big advocate for it. I loved my placement year, and it's also nice if you do find something that you really like, that when it comes to graduation, you have a better direction, you have good contacts and everything. So I definitely recommend it to people if they were considering it, for sure.
I think I was going to say, in Bath, most people did a placement, and I really don't think that's the case. I've done a few kind of graduate events, and lots of them, that's not something that their university offers. So I always recommend trying and kind of do it on your own back if you have to, so that you can get that experience, because it definitely kind of like then sets you above the rest in terms of when you are looking for that graduate job.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think it's almost like the ideal scenario, isn't it? And you made a good point there, Isobel. Like even if the experience isn't great, you'll be seeing people that are doing quote unquote engineering. So even if you're not maybe doing it yourself, you're seeing what is going to be coming, and also what you might not want to do. It just gives you that well-rounded awareness of essentially what's next.
Yeah, definitely.
When I was on my placement, I did a few days actually with the Bridges team. And no offence, but I was like, this is not for me.
So we've brought Isobel here today to defend the British team. So let's go straight into them where you are then, Hope. So you, as you mentioned, you graduated and you joined AECOM as a graduate. Talk us through the different experiences you've had so far, starting off from when you started on the graduate scheme.
Started off about 4 years ago, and AECOM enrolls you onto their kind of graduate development program, and it's of kind of 3 different groups of sessions. Unfortunately, when we joined, that was COVID era, so quite a lot of that was online, but I think since they've changed that to in-person, our final one was in person, which was a really amazing experience to go and meet people from different areas of the company, different teams, different sectors, and you're given kind of workshop tasks to go through that kind of mirror real life experiences, and then like a role play scenario with some like senior leadership. So it's really good exposure internally, and then also like practice of kind of dealing with more challenging clients and things like that that kind of puts you through your paces. That I think is quite a unique experience. That's really positive.
That's awesome. And what about yourself, Isobel?
Yeah, so again, similarly did the advanced program. I think we're going to touch on it a bit later on, but one of the key things that sort of coming into the company, and they encourage you to join sort of a chartership route type thing. So I joined the like ICE training agreement. So the company sort of allocate you a sponsor, and you sort of set out kind of what you need to work on to be able to achieve like certain attributes and work towards being a better rounded engineer, and hopefully towards chartership as well. So that was sort of in the first few months that kind of conversation started when I joined the Bridges team.
And when you were leaving university, it's a common theme that appears with engineers leaving university. Was chartership one of the goals that you saw when you were leaving university? Yeah,
well, we were discussing this earlier on actually this morning, that, going through sort of the educational system, it's almost like you have different goals at each stage. And you come to graduation, which is a big achievement. You've achieved your university degree, and then you start in sort of the working environment, and suddenly you're like, oh gosh, like what's
Here we go
what's
again.
next? Yeah, I guess it's Chartership is the next one. But I think it's really important when you start work that you kind of take a moment to appreciate that you've got there, like you've got that job. And Chartership is something that you develop towards. So although it's like an aspirational goal, it's still, you have to go along the route of becoming a better engineer to get to that point. I think it's something that it's good to have in mind to work towards. But actually, at a basic level, the attributes you need to be chartered are attributes you need to be a good engineer. So if you kind of focus on just becoming a better engineer, naturally you're going to work towards chartership. So I think it's like a balancing act, because it's not the same as sitting an exam. It's not that same.
Yeah, completely right. I feel like it's got to be a kind of like framework for development rather than a head down revision short term goal. It is a longer one. And again, discussing earlier, I think it's something that you really have to do at your own. You've really got to want to do it, and you've got to take your own pace to do it as well, which I think is really important, and not kind of feel potential pressure from elsewhere to do it under certain time frames. Like, do it at your pace and go through it so that when you kind of get to that point, you are really ready and like raring to go.
Absolutely. I think when you look at the Chartership as a title, CEng, and then but if you just take a step behind that and you see the competencies and you then start to really read into it all, as you've both articulated, it's that well-rounded engineer, and you will be ticking each area off as you go through, building up that experience, whether it's in your A and your more technical areas or more the kind of soft skills towards your D&E, personal skills, etc. It helps, and the timescales are relevant. It's working towards it, whether it's 5 years, 15 years. But definitely when you're leaving university, it does feel like there's almost a void in terms of what your next step is.
Daunting as well,
It is,
really daunting.
And whether it's Chartership or whether it's incorporated engineer, it's just a nice next professional goal to have and to build towards. So Hope, has there been any projects you've worked on when you've been at AECOM so far across your time there that stand out, that you've enjoyed working on or been proud of, that you've been involved in?
And anyone that knows me is probably sick of me talking about it. I was fortunate enough to be involved in last year's Serpentine Pavilion, which I absolutely loved. Incredible experience for me, like personally, technically, that development. It was timber frame structure, which was a new material for me. So that was a really great new challenge. As I've touched on, I love the kind of more creative side, and that is like the perfect project. It's quick. It's going to be built as well, which doesn't always happen. And then it's up over the summer, and it's for the public to experience. So every week I was bringing my friends and family along, showing them off like what I've done, and it was amazing to see the public just enjoy that space that I'd helped create, which was something I'm really proud of, and absolutely loved.
Love it. What about yourself, Isobel?
Mine's slightly less glamorous. Mine's a sewer line. Yeah, really
practical.
Glamorous.
More practical.
But no, I found it a very interesting project. So I was on it for quite a long time. It was sort of like 3-4 years, and it's basically in Stratford, so East London, and it's one of the original Bazalgette 1860s sewers, so still serves like the whole of the north of London. It's like an integral piece of like infrastructure, and essentially it's bridges that carry it over various obstacles, so railways, rivers, roads, and it's aging infrastructure, needed refurbishment, but you're working in very difficult environments. You're like over the railway, and it presents a lot of challenges, but it was also really, really rewarding as well. I got to spend quite a lot of time on site as well. Lots of different aspects to the project. I don't think it will ever be quite finished. There's always aspects that need sort of revisiting, refurbishment and things. But yeah, for me, loved it. And that was a project that I sort of spent a long time working on, and essentially I did my chartership based on it. So yeah, very fond of it for sure.
And you mentioned site there because as a early career professional, there's the balance between opportunities, maybe office-based, site-based, and a mix between both. What value did you take out of being able to go out on site and share to us about that experience?
Sure. So I think engineering is a really interesting field because it brings together so many different people, and you're all working towards a goal, but people are coming at it from different directions. So being on site, you get value from yourself because you actually get to see the physical structure in front of you. So there's one thing sitting in your office, but the reality on site is very, very different. And having an appreciation for that, I think, was really important. Also, getting to communicate with the contractor who might be coming at it from a slightly different angle, kind of appreciating how they work and sort of what they're prioritizing and what they have to deal with, I think gave me a good appreciation for that. And I loved it. I sort of had had the best of both worlds in my eyes. I had sort of being on site and being in the office. It was a really good time. I really enjoyed it.
And you mentioned it being part of your chartership then. So out alongside the project, what support have you had working towards and then ultimately getting your chartership from AECOM?
So I feel very lucky in that my team with AECOM, the Bridges and Structures team, are very supportive. I had some really, really experienced engineers who were particularly sort of encouraging of me working towards chartership. So you have what's called a supervising civil engineer, you have delegated engineers, and they are there to basically support you, make sure you're getting the right opportunities to be able to develop and sort of achieve those attributes. So I had that experience, but then I also had some friends as well that had recently gone through chartership, which I don't know how you feel, but like there's one thing sort of talking to people with experience, but then people that have gone through it a year or so before you is kind of invaluable. Sort of you can ask them maybe the more sort of stupid questions that sort of come to mind, or look for them for like reassurance and sort of a bit more insights into their experience and their learning and kind of what went well, what they thought they could have done better, and you can kind of take on that and build on it.
Yeah.
Similar for yourself then, Hope, in terms of your process, like, and the support that you've had within your team?
Yeah, definitely really similar, very supportive team, and also fortunate, again, I got a good kind of colleague peer group, all kind of going through the motions at a similar time, so leaning on each other, kind of workshopping ideas together when you need to, practicing with each other, doing those first kind of more daunting test runs of things, so where you can just kind of get it out, might have completely wrong answers, but it's in a completely safe space to just float those ideas and progress, which has been really great.
Yeah, I mentioned it a lot in the podcast about people being the foundation of your career, and whether it's the person that helped you see engineering, or whether it's your support group around you in the organisation, and especially when you're working towards chartership, you've seen people who have done it before. The old saying of you can't be what you can't see is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, definitely.
We were sort of saying as well, like the accountability. So like when you have people going through it together, you kind of all kind of hold each other to account. Because it's hard work, working towards your chartership. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So having people around you that can kind of hold you to account.
Yeah, and spur you on, kind of each having your moments to be like, no, come on, you can do it. Put yourself together.
So obviously there's a real technical side as well of engineering and your chartership. So has there been any technical skills that you feel you've developed or, improved on since being at AECOM? Start with yourself, Hope.
Oh, tricky one. I feel like almost every day I'm learning something new and learning so much. So the past 4 years have been crazy. I think something that has maybe carried me through, or I felt carried me through, is maybe not a technical skill, but something that I found useful is to have a kind of basis to be able to draw and sketch. And particularly when you're trying to learn or even explain concepts, particularly I think in our job, it can be quite challenging to verbally explain how things are coming together and what you mean. You're just trying to describe 3D things, and kind of leaning on a bit more of a creative background that I've had. I think having that kind of skill set has really helped me put those ideas onto the table and then either learn from them and progress, or even like help others learn, which is something that I always encourage people to pick up a pen and pencil and just start. I always say it's not a talent you're born with, it's something you can nurture and grow, and to not be scared of it, because I think some people are a bit scared of that blank paper.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The visual side of it's, to articulate it visually is really powerful, and definitely not something that was going to be replaced by any technology anytime soon.
Yeah, definitely.
What about yourself, Isobel? Any technical skills that you feel you've developed at AECOM, or in particular you feel that you utilise, more so than others?
I think it's quite a tricky one to answer, because similarly, like, you're learning stuff every day that I feel like it's actually at these kind of opportunities that you reflect back and you think, actually, the thing that I was doing yesterday, a year ago, I would have really struggled with that.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost like a progressive thing that you don't necessarily notice day on day that you've learned something new, but then suddenly you reflect back and you're like, actually, I can sort of approach this question that I didn't know how to do before. Sort of the using of sort of modeling techniques and things like that. I think sort of in terms of like skills that I feel are really, really important and sort of set you up is basically just a willingness to learn and be interested in what you're doing and asking questions. Because I found in my team, and it's across, I think, the whole of AECOM to a degree, is that, if you're genuinely interested, people want to help you and explain things to you and asking questions about what they're doing and things like that. And just an overall interest in engineering and what you're doing, I think can carry you a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned about reflecting as well. I guess that's another benefit of doing the chartership process, is you're having to reflect on where you've came from and different examples of it.
I definitely agree with that. It's quite encouraging, I think, when you go and you're writing your pieces, signing off your attributes, and you can kind of give yourself a little pat on the back and be like, oh my God, I did do that. I have actually kind of developed and grown, and I couldn't do this 6 months ago, or whatever. And then that kind of like spurs you on a bit. You're like, okay, I've done these few steps, and I can do the next ones. Yeah.
So with both of you now been at AECOM for 4 years, has there been a moment when you felt like your technical capabilities or your development had got to a point where you felt, I'm now contributing? Has there been a project where across those 4 years where it went from, I'm a graduate engineer, now I feel more like I'm contributing towards the output of the project?
I'd say the last 2 years for me have been quite a substantial change. So that's involved my work on Serpentine, which was a really great experience. And even from the start of that, like I said, I hadn't really designed much in timber. And then by the end, I'd say I was, fairly competent in that kind of design. So even over that few month period, I saw that change to a position now where I've got a fair bit of responsibility running quite a major project, and each year has been quite a major kind of step up in that, which, when I reflect back, is quite, something.
So what about yourself, Isobel?
I think one of the nice things about like engineering generally is that even I felt from the very start I was still like contributing to the project, appreciating the fact that it's maybe a smaller capacity, but I never at any point felt like I was just sort of like pushing paper. Like I always felt like I was contributing to the project. So I guess like reflecting on that, I don't think it was ever a single turning point that I felt, oh, suddenly I'm now have a greater role. But it's maybe when you're then asked to represent AECOM at a client meeting and you're like, oh, actually, what I say and think has like merit and value, and people want to hear what I have to say. But I do feel very lucky, and I think it's that team environment and that kind of nurturing that the team wouldn't work if it's all just people with 10 plus years experience. You need a spread in your team of experience and backgrounds and everything else that actually I think I feel that as a team we work as like a unit and we work as a team. So therefore it's never like one individual, it's always a group. And I feel very supported in that environment, and I like working in that environment.
Yeah, the environment around you is fundamental to you contributing almost and feeling
yeah.
comfortable to as well. So going back to chartership, if you were giving advice to someone that's starting to think of chartership, whether they're in their graduate role or whether they're maybe later on in their career, what advice would you give them in terms of getting the chartership process started and ultimately succeeding?
I think it's one of those things that it sometimes feels like a daunting task to start with, and I think as Hope sort of touched on, like, the framework is there for you to just chip away at it. You're not expected to do it overnight. I think it's important to look at those attributes as a framework for developing, and to try and, because I think there's sometimes people that come in and say, oh, I've not got X experience. And then it's just the way that you reflect on what you've done already. And then suddenly you go, actually, I can draw on those things that I've already done and achieve some of those attributes. So I think the biggest thing is to sort of see it as a framework, see it as a route, not an overnight, you're going to do it. And just to kind of get started. Sometimes the hardest bit is actually the first step.
Easy wins and chip. Keep chipping. That would be my...
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, definitely.
That's my takeaway.
And in terms of role models and mentors throughout your career so far, has there been anyone that stands out for you, Hope?
When I joined, there was a lady, Christina, who's a few grades above me at the time, and she was incredibly supportive. And it is a male-dominated industry, and particularly when I was looking upwards in terms of the more senior people, it was mainly men. So I found it really helpful and inspiring to have her, who had gone through the motions that I was looking at going through in terms of chartership and the career, and as someone that was kind of still continuing to strive and who was really thriving in that place. And I'd say we'd got on really well and had a real kind of friendship as well. So it was a kind of multi-level relationship, which was really great.
And what do you think some of the key characteristics of the role models that you see are? And I guess the reason I always ask this question is because it's important to share with early career professionals that there is role models out there that are going to, not just necessarily role models, as mentors, there's people who will support you throughout your career. You're not just going into a scary place and you're going to be on your own. So
I think different role models give different things.
Yeah.
So someone that maybe is only a couple of years above you see as being more sort of something that's within your grasp, whereas someone that's maybe 10 years into their career, you might see providing different sort of support and inspiration.
Yeah, I heard something on another podcast, and I can't remember all of them, but I think they said that a good role model is someone that is is aspirational, inspirational, and something else.
That's awesome. I love that.
But I can't remember what the third is.
There we go. It doesn't have to. Aspirational, inspirational sounds good to me.
As in they have done aspirational as in they're in a place and kind of already performing at a level that you are aspiring to. Inspirational that they're or working up to it, and so you're kind of admiring their actions. And maybe there was something else, but I can't remember what that was.
That's awesome. Amazing. And what about yourself, Isobel? Has there been any role models or mentors across your career so far?
Yeah, I think within my team, there's definitely engineers that I really admire, and I would love to think that sort of in X numbers of years' time that I'd be somewhere along that kind of journey towards. I think sometimes it is a little challenging being a male-dominated industry. So whenever you see sort of a female that's making a sort of positive impact in the industry, I think it resonates more. But I think different role models bring different sort of traits that you kind of aspire towards. So I think having lots of people within your sort of vicinity supports you and kind of encourages you to work towards sort of becoming a better engineer and a better rounded person, I think.
Amazing, I love it. So what do you, now that you're a chartered engineer, what's the professional goals for the future? Is there any professional goals that you've thought of?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually something I've been thinking about for the last sort of couple of weeks. Yeah, it feels like you work, especially in the last few months before you sit your chartership it can be quite a busy period. So I sort of took a bit of time to kind of decompress, sort of appreciate where I got to. But in honesty, I think I'm still working it out, because I love what I do and I love my team and the projects I'm working on. So yeah, I guess kind of figuring that out is kind of the next step a little bit.
More sewers?
Maybe more sewers. That's it.
What about yourself, Hope? Do you have any aspirations, or what the professional aspirations are?
In a similar way, I love these more kind of quirky architectural buildings. And so I would love to just keep working on those and having a kind of bigger role on that, I guess, in terms of the whole project delivery. So keep, trying to find that work and bring that in as well is on my hit list.
Awesome. So let's go big then. What within engineering? It doesn't have to be what you're doing at the moment. It doesn't have to be within structural, civil. What within engineering excites you?
Things that are aesthetically pleasing. Is that a weird answer?
No, absolutely not. It's a great answer.
Things that I think, what Bastard building here even, and it had like blue tiles on, and I was like, a bit different, love that. You know, it's not a glass office building that you see everywhere. Things that are a bit different, things that kind of make you take a second look or ask, why have they done that? Like, but in a good way, or maybe in a bad way to inspire you otherwise. And I think London's a great example as well, with kind of juxtapositions of the old and new and that kind of contrast. And I think you can take a lot of inspiration from like historically how we've done things, and take that forwards as well. Particularly, I think I'm going off a bit off piece here, but particularly in a kind of more efficient material use as well, which is something that we really need to strive to do better on.
I sort of love the people that I've interacted with in engineering. I think one of the beauties of it as a career is that it attracts such an array of people from different backgrounds, different routes in, it's sort of international as well. Like, so you get to talk about how different countries have like maybe brought up their engineers and had their roots in. So in that sense, I just love, I guess, the idea that we're working towards a common goal, bringing together lots of different people, communicating with lots of different parties. And yeah, I guess that for me, I really love.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. We've got something in common there, I think. So what advice would you give to someone that's starting their career in engineering now?
I think ask questions. You know, no one's expected to know everything. And one of the beauties of engineering is that there's always something new to learn. So I think just being inquisitive, asking questions, and just, being genuinely interested in people's like backgrounds and why they think the way they think. And I guess that for me is it, really asking questions.
What about yourself, Hope?
Yeah, I was going to say, be keen, be eager, talk to people, and even taking the time to like go and have a coffee with people and just talking maybe about projects that you're not working on with them and learn about that experience. It might kind of open your eyes to things that you might want to do. And it's an industry that is really reliant on teamwork. So having those really good relationships and kind of people skills and bonds is really important.
Well, it's been amazing hearing both of your careers so far, starting at a similar point, but, you know, in different routes and in different areas of AECOM, hearing the technical development, but also the human side as well, which I think is really important for early career professionals to hear, to tap into and to show themselves when they're doing applications, etc. And also your chartership journey, which is not necessarily the most important thing, but for the purpose of this podcast, it is, and it's important to show that there's people around you that will support you, and reflection. You can never underestimate it. So thank you both for joining me on the podcast. It's been awesome. So I'm going to close off with the question I always ask, which is, and I'll start with you, Hope. What keeps you passionate about engineering?
Oh God, I don't know how you just articulate when you really enjoy. I don't know how you articulate passion. I really enjoy what I'm doing and want to just strive to deliver that as best I can, and keep learning.
Awesome. No, I love it. I think this the last questions you've conveyed your passion without actually saying what the particular passion is. So thank you so much for joining me. What about yourself, Isobel? What keeps you passionate about engineering?
I think the feeling that I'm making the world a better place, that the work I do really matters, and trying to improve people's lives.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for both joining me on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.